I think there were a few interesting things going on. One is that because of the field of computer security, there's new stuff every day. It's not like you're selling widgets and trying to find something. So there was always something which people were interested in because it was a threat or they had to protect themselves against. And as we were a security company, we were the people who discovered that thing. We were the people who had the most information. And we had a choice. We could either try and turn that into a press release and try and coax some journalist, like a journalist at Register or Ars Technica or someone like that, to write about it. And why were we doing that anyway? Well, we were doing that because hopefully people would then think we were experts because they'd see us quoted in the eventual article. And maybe at some point they'd think, oh, those guys know what they're talking about, we'll buy their products. And then we kind of thought, well, we've got so much information and it's interesting. Why don't we cut out the middleman? Why do we need newspapers and magazines? We've got the web here. Why don't we make ourselves the newspaper? Why don't we do that? And that was the sort of thought which we had was, well, and it started off as a simple blog and then grew. Originally, I was the only writer, and then we added like 2 or 3 other people. And we just churned it out. And it was fascinating because we realized we didn't actually need those news outlets as much because we were getting huge amounts of traffic at the time by our standards. We were getting, this is like 15 years ago or something, we were getting well over millions of page views on occasion. Wow. It caused such a problem inside Sophos that what would happen is if we wrote a really popular story, the entire website would go down. We effectively denial of serviced ourselves. We like slash-dotted ourselves. And so the IT team, I remember them having a meeting with me and they said, if you're going to write something that's going to be popular, can you tell us in advance? Guys, that's not how it works. I don't know, 24 hours in advance if I'm going to write something really popular. And sometimes I'll write something, I think, oh, this is so good. This will be so juicy, and it falls flat. And other things really surprise you. But yeah, so we had to grow up and get a little bit more. We had to get a proper platform so that it wasn't going to damage our actual paying customers. But it worked really well for brand awareness and for presenting us as thought leaders. And I seem to remember, you say you have an analyst background. I never had that high opinion of analysts, like the Gartners of this world. They kind of irritated me a bit. But I remember they wrote a report.
I was like one of those, yeah.
Right. I remember they wrote a report where, and obviously I completely agreed with this, where they said this is a bit of a jewel that Sophos has because Sophos didn't have loads of money to do marketing and it didn't have a consumer product at the time, but we were getting great brand awareness because if you wanted to know what was going on, that was one of the sites you would go to and get it straight from the horse's mouth. So it worked very well for us. And then we began to see loads of other people do it. And we began to see more traditional news outlets getting into cybersecurity and having a tech and security beat, which maybe they didn't have 20 years ago, but they began to get into. I think they saw this is something which actually works.